Hello and welcome back to the Dugout podcast. This is episode number 81, and today we're going to be going over all of the Scottish Cup action of the weekend. And the Scottish Cup delivered. There were a couple of upsets in there, probably the two main ones, the main games that we'll be going over, but obviously we're going to go through every single match, not as in depth as we usually are, because we'd be here till next week. But yeah, and always I'm joined by my co-host Ethan Barlow. Ethan, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. It was more entertaining Scottish Cup weekend than I expected with Hibs and Hearts bowing out, and I'm sure that's the two main games we'll talk about, but we'll go through every other game. And yeah, it was a good weekend of Scottish Cup action and some entertaining draws for the next round. How's yourself, Alex?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. A bit tired, a bit starting to freak out because, as you know, we've got our dissertation and journalism projects due in a few months, and I'm trying to just get into the swing of that. Don't know about yourself, but I've left it a bit late.
Yeah, well, still got plenty of time. Don't leave it to the last minute, obviously, but. No, I don't think I'm not pressing the panic button yet. But still got plenty of time. But yeah, the years went fast, especially the football year with how entertaining it's been, especially in the Scottish Premiership. And hopefully we get even more upsets as the Scottish Cup goes on because it's been a entertaining first real round where I think everyone pays attention because all the big Premiership sides are obviously in it now at round four and round five with Hearts and Hibs especially going out. You've got a real opportunity for teams to get to Hampden and maybe make a final. We've seen Championship teams and lower league opposition make the finals quite recently, so there's an opportunity for anyone to cause an upset on the back off the back of what we've seen this weekend as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. However, the first game of the weekend was not an upset. Rangers 5 and an Athletic nil. Um, a Bojan Miovski hat trick, including a penalty in the second half. Kieran Dow got a goal in the 48th minute, and then Tello Asgard in the 87th with a cracking free kick. I don't like, obviously, you expect Rangers to beat an Athletic, but um, I don't care who's in goal. That is some free kick.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. A bit of quality from Taylor Asgard. Yeah, that's like an unsavable free kick. Probably the best you'll see in Scottish football this season, I would imagine. And yeah, it was a really good goal, the pick of the bunch. But there was a few decent finishes in there as well, a few decent goals from Rangers. I thought Kieran Dill's header was really good. Mayovsky took his free goals well. I thought Finlay Curtis, from looking at the highlights and from what I've heard, he done himself some favours and maybe getting some more game time in the future. If he doesn't obviously go out on loan, which has been a rumour, as obviously Lyle Cameron got announced and played for Aberdeen, as he was one of the other ones that was rumoured to be heading for the Ibrox exit door temporarily. But yeah, I think it was a good routine performance from Rangers. The players come in that maybe don't get as much game time and they've done their job. And Miovski getting a hat trick will be brilliant for his confidence, and he'll be looking, and Danny Rowe will be looking for him to carry that back into the Premiership and the running because Rangers will need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say Annan were decent for the first maybe 10, 15 minutes or so, but then the Rangers sort of got a grip in the game. You see the gap in quality, the gap in sort of training, fitness, that kind of thing. And Annan did look like they were struggling towards the end, but it was a decent performance from Rangers and what you would expect from them going through to the next round. But just before we move on as well, there was some. Ethan spoke about Lyle Cameron going out of Rangers and going to Aberdeen. Rangers actually revealed their third signing of the January window on Friday evening. Andreas Skov Olsen joins Rangers on loan to the remainder of the season from Wolfsburg with an option to buy for 10 million euros. Ethan, um, obviously Skov Olsen hasn't been too good. You know, since joining Wolfsburg. However, he was very good at Club Bruges. Rangers were linked with them in the past as well. They've got this one over the line. What do you make of this signing before we move on to the other games?
I think what it is that it's a real statement of intent from the Rangers board that they're going to back Danny Rowe in order to get the players in. They've obviously brought three in. They might get a couple more in before the window ends in a couple of weeks' time. And they're really going to push for that title because there's an opportunity to do so. I think the injuries to Hearts, key players, which we'll get on to, will be a big boost. And obviously, Celtic not really bringing in any players so far apart from Araujo right at the start of the window. So, yeah, I think Rangers have probably put themselves in maybe the best position at the minute. I know they've still got a point deficit to Hearts, but in terms of the squad and being injury free on the most part. I know obviously Connor Barron out for a while and that's a big blow, but Chukwuani, is it the midfielder from
Yeah,
Sturm Graz?
I've just been going with Chikwani.
Chukwuani, he obviously made his debut as well, so and then you've got the other two, including Scott Wilson, to contribute as well. And I think he is a quality player. We've seen that against Scotland for Denmark, and he's been linked with Rangers for years now. I can remember it. It's never really sort of worked. But this time around, it does. Not getting a starting place all the time at Wolfsburg. Understandably, they're a Bundesliga side, not easy to start for these teams in the top five leagues, and he's obviously showed in leagues of similar quality, like the Belgian league, that he's a top player that can contribute a lot between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited by this one. I think it is a statement of intent. If because due to I'm not super up to date on the coefficient sort of stuff, but I think I read somewhere that due to Rangers coefficient over the past few years, that if they were to win the Scottish Premiership, they wouldn't need to go through qualifiers. They would automatically qualify for the Champions League because of their own coefficient points. You know what? I feel like Andrew Kavanagh's looking at this, like you said, Ethan's statement of intent and going, we can go for this. And maybe if Scott Wilson helps them and is brilliant and Rangers get the Champions League money through the door, they might be able to trigger that buy option, which is, obviously very big money for up in Scotland. But maybe that's the plan. Obviously, it rests on Rangers winning the league, but I think Scott Wilson and potentially some more signings definitely helps their case.
Yeah, yeah, that exactly, and that's what you need to do. You need to speculate to accumulate. You spend the money on the players and the hope and increasing your chances of winning the Scottish Premiership title in order to get that Champions League money. And I'm not 100% sure on if Rangers are sort of top of that list with the individual club coefficient to go into the Champions League. They certainly were last season if they had won the league. But yeah, they'll still be there or thereabouts, I'd imagine, going into uh, the summer or next season's Champions League. And obviously, regardless of the fact if it's guaranteed entry or you need to play qualifiers, you want to be there and have the best chance possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on from the Rangers game, we'll just run through a few of the fixtures, starting on an extremely entertaining one. Airdrie 3, Arbroath 3, a mad game in Airdrie, and yeah, Airdrie took the lead through Henderson in the 12th minute before Riley equalises for Arbroath, and then Henderson scores again in the 57th minute through a penalty. Bredling or Breedling, I'm not super familiar with these players, so forgive me. Then equalised in the 84th minute for Arbroath, taking it to extra time. Airdrie might have thought they'd won it through McMaster in the 97th minute before Stewart equalised in the 109th. It then went to penalties where Airdrie ran out for two winners. Ethan, this is the kind of thing we expect to see from Scottish Cup games. It gives us the opportunity for some cracking matchups.
Yeah, and I don't know if these two teams, obviously both from the Championship, had a played in the league, we would have seen a game like this. Obviously, it was two each at full time, so on any other given day, that would have been the scoreline. And for I think 5 of the games went beyond 90 minutes this weekend, and all of them went to penalties. I think this was the only one that had any goals in extra time. I think extra time is a thing that has to be there, but you rarely see goals in it. It was good to see both teams getting a goal, but then obviously every
Before
going to win penalties.
before me and you jumped on, we were discussing the AFCON final. Much hilarity there outside of the football, but Papa Gay did score
Yeah,
in extra time for Senegal, so they could clinch the African Cup of Nations. Sadio Mane, now a two-time winner of that competition.
yeah, and I think deny Morocco being it. I think they were going for their second ever time winning it. A lot of expectation on them as the host nation, the highest ranked African nation, just outside the top 10 in FIFA rankings. We know all about them from sort of keeping an eye on them. Obviously, Scotland will play them, and I think we've known since we got drawn against them, it's going to be a really, really tough task. But if you could have maybe asked for a way for the tournament to play out and increasing Scotland's chances, and maybe Morocco being in a wee bit of I don't know, a difficult place mentally. Certainly, I'd imagine Brahim Diaz is going through a lot of hard times at the minute, a lot of criticism, despite winning Player of the Tournament and having the most goals. Obviously, his infamous attempt at a Panenka is going to be remembered from this tournament, and hopefully, for Morocco's sake, it means they're not as good in the World Cup, although Scotland will still need to be on top form to get anything from the African side.
Yeah, we need to watch out though for all them dirty tricks that Morocco were pulling during the competition. Ball boys stealing goalkeepers' towels. You know, and now they've actually starting to pursue legal action because the Senegal players leaving the pitch apparently significantly impacted the outcome of the game. So that just sprinkling that in there. Obviously, that's the big football tournament going on just now. But
I was just going to say as well, I think I seen something early yesterday before the game had taken place that it was someone saying that the whole of Africa is behind Senegal and that Morocco had been getting a little bit of sketchy decisions throughout the tournament. And I think there has been a tendency in the past that host nations of tournaments sometimes do get the decisions. But yeah, some of the decisions that Morocco got in their favour last night were a little questionable. So maybe you could investigate that, but and hope and make sure that everything's clean and fair. But luckily, it wasn't. It didn't change the output of the game. It very well could have done, but obviously Senegal come away as winners. But yeah, we'll still have a very tough task on our hands in our second group stage game, regardless.
easy, easy, easy win for Scotland. Scott McTominay will run it back. Maybe score two overhead kicks. Show El Kabi how it's done. Um,
Yeah. Well,
but
I don't know if you've seen one of Morocco's striker options will not be playing against Scotland. Hamza Agaman, former Rangers striker, cruciate ligament injury he sustained last night. Unfortunately for him, but probably fortunately for Scotland, that
I
it's
didn't
one
see that
less player
actually.
they need to worry about. Yeah, so he's going to be out for, well, I'd imagine beyond the World Cup and probably quite a few months beyond the World Cup. But obviously there was a concern for Scotland as well. John McGinn went off against Everton yesterday after about 13 minutes, I think it was, which obviously isn't great either. But yeah, went on a wee bit of a tangent there. But
No,
no,
but that's fine. Well, if we want to talk about that though, obviously not as big as John McGinn, but it would be good to have him at the tournament. Nathan Patterson completed a full 90 the other day.
yeah,
Which has been rare for him in the past few years. Unfortunately for him, plagued by injury. So, if we need all the help we can get going into this tournament, so it would be good to if he could play out the rest of the season. And we hope John McGinn's okay, and hopefully he can, come to the World Cup with Scotland because he's been such a big part of the journey, not just through obviously World Cup qualification, but our journey back to major tournaments, and he's been such a huge member of this team. And I don't think it's an overstatement to say he's one of the heroes of the nation. So it would be sad to see him miss it. But Before we move on again, I know we have went off on a bit of a tangent, but I just want to pivot into a discussion. We were talking about extra time there. Do you think they should just scrap extra time?
Thought about it, but I just think the margins are quite fine in football anyway. But I think the margins of penalty kicks are so fine that it feels kind of unfair to go straight from 90 minutes to penalties. But and I feel like I want to give the teams 30 minutes to try and score a goal, but usually it just ends up both teams are tired, trying not to make mistakes, trying to nullify each other rather than actually going for goals. So
What if they kept extra time and added golden goal?
yeah, well they could do that, but then again, it'd probably still be the same. You'd get like 60-minute extra times and stuff like that.
No, they would, keep it the set amount,
All right, okay.
add golden goal.
All right, so there's more sort of encouragement to score. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that could be good.
If you
Yeah, that
score,
would
you
be
win the game. You don't need to worry about the other team scoring. You don't need to worry about penalties.
that would be really good, I think.
If you score, you win.
Uh, another one, MLS penalties. Always people have always floated that idea.
Yeah, yeah. I love MLS penalties. It's a better measurement of skill. I
Yeah,
think maybe gives the
I think that's the best thing. Sorry,
goalkeeper.
that's got to be the best thing that football in America or soccer has ever come up with.
I know. uh, well, well, they do have the LeBron James of soccer, so you got those young players coming up. Yamal, um, who else is coming through? All the wonder kids. My mind's gone blank. I'm trying to think of someone else. Yamal, Desiree Dewey, Christian Pulisic, all the wonder kids coming through. Have you seen any clips that Americans still talk about him as if he's like 19?
No, I've seen that. I don't know. I think they haven't really been aware because obviously he was never really the main player at Dortmund or Chelsea. He was obviously very good in spells at both, but I think since he's went to AC Milan in recent seasons, he's been the main man, certainly probably this season. So
Yeah.
that's probably why they think that he's younger than he actually is. But no, he still had a very
Like
good career.
Jesse, he's like the American Jesse Lingard. People just think he's permanently like 21.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the Scottish football. We had um oh gosh, I'm gonna look like an idiot saying this name wrong. Camelon?
Yeah, Cameron Juniors, that's what I'd go with.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
Camelon
sure.
Camelon Juniors taking on Elgin City. Elgin came away with a 3-1 win. They opened the scoring through Hester in the 12th minute before Kirkpatrick equalised for Camelon Juniors in the 44th. Hester then scored again in the 58th, and a Williamson own goal sealed the deal for Elgin City. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on any of these teams. Well done, Elgin.
Yeah, Hogan, they've been on a difficult run looking at their results recently. In League Two, there was maybe potential for a slight upset here with Camelon Juniors being, I believe, I want to say sixth division, same as Auchinleck Talbot as well, obviously got onto. So there was potential there playing at home, but they couldn't get the job done. But obviously, two leagues is a big jump, and Elgin City were still heavy favourites and they get the job done. And now they've got a last 16 draw to look forward to. As we'll get onto that draw in a minute. But yeah, good win for Elgin and Camelot Juniors to even get this far as a junior side's impressive. Obviously, they would have wanted to go through, but it's a big ask to beat a team one division above you, never mind a couple.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Moving on to Dundee United, who hosted Scott Brown's Ayr United at Tannadice, and Dundee United came away with the 2-0 win. Nikolai Moller and Panucci Kamara. Maybe this was one you thought could be an upset. Ayr are very inconsistent. They seem like they can pull big results out the bag, but they couldn't get the job done at Tannadice.
Yeah, a massive win for Jim Goodwin, I think, because of the recent run was really disappointing. Obviously, lost the derby, then were thrashed at Celtic Park against a Celtic team which they'd obviously beat a few weeks before under different managers that I will stress, but even still, and it was a potential banana skin because, as we've seen, as you said, Ayr United are capable of pulling off big results. I remember they were beating St Johnstone 2-0 at half time. They did throw it away in the second half, but that probably shows their inconsistencies. So a good win. It took them a wee while to get the goals, but they get the job done and they're into the next round. So yeah, big win for Jim Goodwin and Dundee United.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on to Kelty Hearts, the first Hearts of the day to go to penalties. They drew one each with Cove Rangers. Cove opened the scoring with Magnuson before, oh my gosh, Egwibor.
Yeah,
Egwibor. Um, Sorry if you're watching, mate. That's absolutely brutal. That what I've just done to your name. Anyone let me know how to pronounce that in the comments section down below. I used to get annoyed at YouTubers for their pronunciations, but now that you know, because I was sure of myself when I was younger, but now that you're doing it, I'm a bit like, oh, is this actually the right way to say it? So I'm always second guessing myself now. But yeah, if you're watching, sorry I've butchered your name and sorry you scored an own goal. Uh, um, it then went to extra time. Craig Clay was sent off in the 118th minute. What? What's so funny?
I'm laughing at your hesitation of saying the name Craig Clay.
I'm just trying my best here. Leave me be. Craig Clay was sent off in the 118th minute for a second yellow card, but that didn't have any bearing on the game for Kelty as they ran out 5-3 winners on penalties. Nice to see Kelty Hearts doing okay in the cup. They've not been.
Not been doing okay in the league.
No, they've not been doing okay in the league. They are rock bottom of League One at the moment. Uh,
Just below Cove Rangers. So
yeah,
yeah, it was a wee bit of a League One relegation matchup. But yeah, good win for Kelly Hearts, definitely, especially to carry the last couple of minutes with a man down after Clay got the second yellow, as you said. I think thingy, who was it? Greg Stewart was on another podcast talking about Cove Rangers the other day and saying that they have a good chance to stay up. I believe he played 60 minutes for Cove Rangers since coming back from India, and then I think it was something he done a long-term injury for his knee, so he only played 60 minutes for Cove, and now he's never going to play for them again, unfortunately. But yeah, he was saying they should be fine. Mitchell Megginson's always scored goals in the lower league, so yeah, I think they'll both teams will still put up a fight, but they've got a big job ahead of them in League One.
hesitant for pronunciations. I looked at that and thought Magnuson for some reason when it's clearly Meganson. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna be taking my time on these now. You've made me self conscious.
Yeah, well, apologies, but yeah,
Sorry for interrupting you.
no, not at all, not at all. Yeah, no, big win for Kelty, and they've got a difficult draw in the next round against Neil Lennon's Dunfermline, as we'll get on to, but yeah, they'll just be happy to be through to the next round.
Okay, so moving on to our first all Premiership affair of the weekend. I'm sitting guessing everything now. This isn't good. Kilmarnock versus Dundee. Dominic Thompson opened the scoring in the 11th minute. It was in our worst slash underperforming 11 of the season so far. He's trying to play his way into the best with this finish, Ethan Kraken.
Yeah, he must have heard us. He must have watched the podcast the other day and seen that. But yeah, an excellent goal. Great pick out from David Watson from the corner and to hit it on the volley, first time and off the post, unsavable. What a goal! And I will say, Kilmarnock probably should have been behind even before that because Dundee had some excellent chances throughout the game.
I
Should have
swear
really
they
been
hit the
out of
bar
sight.
like 8 times in the game or something.
Yeah, they had one cleared off the line as well. Yeah, I think it was 3 times they hit the woodwork and then they had one cleared off the line. So they were well worthy of their win in the end, despite it coming in late and fortunate circumstances for Dundee.
Yeah. Um, Ashley Hay equalised in the 69th minute. He seems to have really found his form in recent weeks. I'm I'm pleased for him because since sort of watching him, I like the kind of player he is. He looks like a natural finisher as well. Obviously he struggled for goals, but it looks like one because he's found the net, he's finding it a bit more. Jack Thompson was then sent off in the 80th minute for Kilmarnock, a second yellow card. I don't really have any complaints about this one, Ethan. Do you?
No, two pretty clear yellow cards from Jack Thompson, unfortunately for him. But I was just going to say, yeah, excellent finish from Ashley. I really enjoyed watching that goal on the highlights. Unlike the next goal, I'll say.
Yeah. No, but that Ashley Hay finish was thunderous. It was very, very good. And then Dre Wright scored the winner for Dundee. High, um, I don't even know if I want to call it a cross. It was just hoofed into the air, comes down, and just no communication between the goalkeeper and the defender. Sort of, they both go for it. They clash into each other. Falls down for Dre Wright, who just knocks it into an empty net, and you can see them both looking at each other after, going, "What the hell?" Um, that's schoolboy stuff.
Yeah, that is. I think you have to be only between they two. They'll know really who should have went for the ball. You've got to communicate there. Robbie Dees, I think it was, who was under it, the defender. I think he seemed to have it. And then obviously Keller Roos comes out his goal on his debut as well, since signing. Obviously former Aberdeen goalkeeper as well. What an error to make in your first game. And I think we've been saying the one bright spark in the Kilmarnock team recently has been Toby Oluwayemi, who's obviously went back to Celtic after the emergency loan from Parkhead concluded. So if he's going to perform like that, then yeah, I'm really concerned for Kilmarnock because there was no need for that to happen. There was no pressure on the ball at all. They just need to communicate, and one of them needs to go for it. They obviously make a complete mess of it, and Dre Wright's on hand to finish it and get a big win for Dundee again, who just seem pretty unstoppable at the minute. I know they lost at home to Hearts, despite Hearts having the 10 men for over a half. But even in that game, they played pretty well, I would say, against the league leaders. Certainly better than St Mirren did against Hearts. So yeah, I think Dundee are on an excellent run in the minute, and obviously they've got a difficult task in the next round, as we'll get on to. But yeah, they've been on a brilliant run, and there's nothing Stephen Presley can't do.
Yeah, except win at Ibrox, hopefully. Um, he came close last time. So moving on to the second All Premiership affair of the
Were we
weekend.
not going to we were going to discuss Lewis Mayer's red? You
Oh
thought
yeah,
it?
I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Yeah, Lewis Mayo was sent off in the 93rd minute. Kellerus was up for the Kilmarnock corner, hoping to maybe grab a winner. It's cleared. Dundee sort of breaks. Simon Murray does well to hold on to it. Releases. I can't remember who exactly it was.
I think it was Jan Danda.
Jan Danda and Lewis Mayo brings him down. He's running towards goal. There's nobody in the goal. There were other players a wee bit further back, but Ethan sort of persuaded me before we came on the recording that this probably was the right decision because Danda could have had it from there. It could have gone in. So Lewis Mayo has denied a clear goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, Andy booted the ball away as well. So at the very least, if it was a yellow card, then he gets another yellow for kicking the ball away. And I think it was a head loss at that point for the whole of the Kilmarnock players. And maybe understandably so, had what had just went before. So yeah, really disappointing for Kelly again. Neil McCann's got a lot of work on his hands alongside his ex teammate Billy Dodds to turn that around. I think he said after the game something along the lines of the cup doesn't matter as near as much as the league, and I would have to agree with him. I think the priority for Kilmarnock at the minute is trying to get away from those relegation places.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree because they could be in hot water. Two other relegation candidates faced off. I think I'm firm on this, by the way, now. I think St Mirren, for me, are a relegation candidate. Um, so Livingston versus St Mirren. Roland Adowu opened the scoring in the 3rd minute before Scott Arfield grabbed his first goal for Livingston, his boyhood club, the era he grew up in. A nice moment for him. However, it went to extra time and then penalties, and heartbreak for him and for David Martindale as Livingston went out 4-3 on penalties.
Yeah, uh, third time lucky in the third time in it for Roland Adowu after he had the two goals disallowed, obviously at Tynecastle the other night, and then yeah, really good goal from Scott Arfield. Great moment for him. He obviously left Mulkirk, Falkirk by mutual consent because of his lack of minutes, lack of starts, and he obviously gets the starts at the start and shows why he's still a player to be utilised in this league. Obviously not in the league, but I think he'll be a big player if Livingston are to do anything beyond the relegation place. So really well worked goal as well from Livingston point of view, but unfortunately it didn't come to anything as St Mirren win on penalties. Although you'll feel Stephen Robinson's team will want to do a lot more when they meet tomorrow night, as we're recording this on Tuesday night, in a rematch in the league, which will see every team level on games, which is good. We won't be having to work out how many games in hand everybody has, stuff like that. So
Yeah,
massive relegation 6 pointer, you feel like in that game.
yeah, huge game for Livingston. As if they win it, they go within a point of Kilmarnock and go within 5 of St Mirren. So, yeah, massive, massive game for both sides there. Let's move on to some more fixtures. Moving on to Motherwell versus Stuart Kettlewell's Ross County. Of course, former Motherwell manager Stuart Kettlewell making a um, second return to Fir Park. I guess you could say, obviously, probably. Oh, he definitely did come up against them when he was in the Kilmarnock job. But Motherwell got the 1-0 win. Tawanda Maswanisi again. He has been the subject of a lot of transfer speculation. So we'll talk about him very quickly, Ethan. He's been terrific, and there's been a lot of interest and discussions over where he would go. Rangers were reportedly interested in him. Celtic have been reported to be interested in him. Do you think he will be at Motherwell by the end of the January window?
Yes, I do. I think Motherwell will hold out until the summer. I think he's obviously been a massive player for them this season. Probably maybe in the best form, well, certainly the best form of his life if you're talking his football career as a whole. But this season, maybe he obviously got the goal in the last game at AFCON for Zimbabwe, a really good goal as well. Then he comes back, gets a goal and an assist against St Mirren, gets the goal at Easter Road, then gets the goal at Ross County. So 4 goals in his last 4 games for club and country, and yeah, he's been excellent. Maybe I'll need to retract my team of the season omission of him because obviously I didn't have him in mind. But I think if he keeps this form up, he'll be in my team of the season come the end of the season. I did say that in fairness, but Motherwell, I expected them to win a little bit more comfortably, but then again, a win's a win in the Scottish Cup. Ross County were high on confidence probably after the win over Thistle. I know they did lose to the league leaders St Johnstone in the Challenge Cup, but I think they're probably maybe in the best place they've been this season under Kettlewell. before the or after the previous two managers not working too well. But for Motherwell, another clean sheet, 9 clean sheets in the last 11 games. They've only conceded 2 goals in that time. And if I'm correct, do you want to try and guess when the last time Motherwell conceded a goal at Fir Park was? The date?
The date, the
Okay,
exact date.
okay. You can say the rough like month and then the rough part of a month. So like start of end of.
How long? How many games have they gone without conceding a goal at Fir Park?
I don't know how many games it is, but just the last time they did actually concede a goal at Fir Park.
Um, I'll go mid-November.
It's mid-October.
Oh my God.
18th of October when they lost their only game they've lost at home in the league this season against John McGunn's Falkirk. So yeah, that shows how good they've been defensively, especially at home. Uh, so yeah, ridiculous. Jens Asku's team's been this season. I've actually even heard some people saying that Motherwell are the best team in Scotland at this current moment. I don't know if I agree with that, but
I would disagree with that.
yeah, but they've got a point. Like if you put Motherwell up against any of the teams above them at the minute, I think they could beat any of them. I wouldn't say they're the best team, but
A couple of weeks ago they were up against one of the teams above them, and they didn't win. So
they could have had a penalty. They could have
yeah,
got a
but they
result.
didn't get a penalty and they didn't win.
Okay, no, I agree. I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying like Jens Berfasco's done an excellent job and they're a really good team. Certainly the best defensive unit in Scotland. Do you agree with that?
Uh, yeah, okay.
9 clean sheets in the last 11 games. Come on. Yeah,
I'll I'll agree with that for now. Uh,
for now.
for now,
Okay,
and,
okay.
but I disagree with they're not the best team. And
No, I don't think they are either. It's a very extreme and
who
hot
do you
take, but
wait? Let's who do you think the best team in the country right now is, just based off of form? Forget like league tables and stuff.
uh, Celtic. No,
No,
no, I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I think the best team at the moment, the best team at the moment, if I had to say the strongest team at the moment, I'd say would be Rangers.
finally got something out of him. Uh,
What do you mean got something out of me? And that's only because of Hart's injuries. If Hart's had Cammy Devlin and Lawrence Shanklin fit, I'd still probably say they were the strongest team. And they might be the strongest team if they beat Celtic at the weekend, and I may put them back at the top of the table. Or maybe if Celtic win, I might put them top of the table. You never know. But at the moment, I would say Rangers before Celtic and Hearts play at Tynecastle on Sunday.
what if it's a draw?
If it's a draw, then I'll probably stick with Rangers.
Okay, okay, interesting. But yeah, good.
Well, who would you say?
Who would I say? Who's the best team right now? Rangers.
Yeah, I don't know why I even asked that.
Yeah, come
I
on. You
wasn't
know me.
expecting a different answer.
You know me. No, it is subject to change though. The Rangers aren't far and away the best. I just think they're on the best form. They're the most consistent at the moment.
Yeah,
In my opinion, they've won their last six. So in all competitions. So yeah, I'd say Rangers probably are the best team at the moment, but everything's subject to change. We've got big games coming up. That one coming up at the weekend could change for Hearts and Celtic. Rangers could slip up. You know, this just might be a little purple patch, although it doesn't look that way. It looks like Rangers are building something, but you know, you never know. But anyway, a very good win for Motherwell progressing to the next round. And you know, as well, not when you look at where Ross County were, I wouldn't say this is a shameful result. Because
No,
we were just talking about Motherwell potentially being one of the best teams, if not the best team in the country right now. Ross County, bottom of the of the championship, they've been so poor. I think Stuart Kettlewell's come in and he's starting to steady the ship.
yeah, agreed. I thought Motherwell would win more comfortably. I really did expect a clean sheet. I think Motherwell are a really safe team to for clean sheets, certainly at home at the minute, especially against bottom of the championship. I know, as we said, Stuart Kettlewell's probably made them a bit better since he's come in, and they've got a bounce, but they're still at the bottom for a reason, and they were always going to struggle to go to Fir Park and even get a goal. Never mind a win, but 1-0 is not a too poor a result, especially when it took Motherwell over an hour to find the net.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to Partick Thistle versus Montrose. This was certainly another entertaining game. Tony Watt got a brace, opening the scoring in the 10th minute before adding to it in the second half in the 48th. Logan Chalmers was then sent off in the 73rd minute before Tommy North pulled one back for Montrose, making it 2-1. Then Terry Mason or Masson, I'm assuming it might be Masson, is
Yeah,
sent off in the 87th minute for Montrose before Rico Diak scored the goal that sealed it for Thistle in the 91st minute, a 3-1 victory for Partick. I think you would expect that. I mean, they've faltered off a little bit, but they still are probably the main threat to St Johnstone in the championship title race. There's still a number of games to play, and they've secured their spot in the round of 16.
yeah, and Mark Wilson would have really wanted that, especially after the disappointment in the Challenge Cup going out to Inverness Cali, who have obviously been a good team in their own right this season, but a league below. Partick Thistle will look at that as a really disappointing result, off the back of losing to County as well. So yeah, it was a big win for Mark Wilson, who's having a really good season. A lot of people were doubting his credentials to take the job after Brian Graham left, but I think he's done a really good job. And I know the league's from far from over at this point, but I think St Johnstone are pulling away slightly. But remember, St Johnstone were absolutely ages away, light years away from anyone else in the championship at the start of the season. So yeah, crazier things have happened, but to run St Johnstone as close as they have so far is really good, considering we had St Johnstone as big favourites to shoot right back up under Sipo Valicari.
Yeah, yeah. Moving on to a team that you did mention there, Ethan, Inverness Cali Thistle, playing away against League Two opposition, League One versus League Two, and the League Two team came out on top. Spartans after a nil. Oh, imagine being at this game. A 0-0 of 120 minutes before the League Two leaders won 4-2 on penalties. I don't really have a lot to say about this except Spartans have had a terrific season. It's been them in my hometown, East Kilbride, at the top of League Two. They are obviously ahead at the moment. They look the favourites to get promoted in that first spot. However, East Kilbride are only 5 points behind. But yes, the Spartans have been really, really good this season, and a case, not the first one we're going to talk about, but and not the last. Sorry, not the first and not the last league upset. I guess you could say teams at different levels that we're going to talk about. But yeah, good for Spartans to get the win, even if it was after 120 minutes of no goals.
Yeah, Inverness on the right end of a one league upset in the Challenge Cup, beating Partick Thistles, as just referred to there, and then obviously in the wrong end this time around, losing out in penalties this time to Spartans. What a result for them, and as you said, a really good season they're having, and of course never been in a league above the League Two, only joined the football leagues for the first time a couple of seasons ago, I believe, and I don't know what odds you would have got on them being the only side from Edinburgh in the last 16 draw or the fifth round draw, whatever you want to call it, but they certainly would have been pretty good. So credit to anyone who backed that, but I don't think many people probably did.
No, no, probably not. Moving on to another upset, I think this one's massive. Top of League One, Stenhousemuir hosted Greenock Morton and absolutely thrashed them. Morton are, I think they're seventh in the championship. Let me just double check that. Yep,
Yeah,
they are seventh in the championship. So four four places between them, I guess you could say, if you wanted to do it that way in terms of the football pyramid. But yeah, Stenhousemuir just blew them away. Jameson opened the scoring in the 39th minute. Buchanan, sorry, Aitken then made it two in the 45th. Buchanan made it three in the 65th, and Aitken grabbed his second in the 80th. Stenhousemuir progressed to the next round of the competition, and their next game is actually a local derby, and we'll talk about who they'll be playing very very soon. But yeah, very very good, terrific win for Stenhousemuir. A bit embarrassing for Greenock Morton.
yeah, really embarrassing for Greenock Morton. As team Stenhousemuir who have done excellent this season under Gary Naismith, but they're a team that usually associate bouncing between League One and League Two in recent years, whereas Greenock Morton are pretty established Championship club. I know they're not having the best season, but yeah, that's a surprising result. 4-0 is an absolute thrashing, as you said, and what a result for Stenhousemuir, and then rewarded with the local derbies we'll get onto, which they probably will not. Well, they weren't favourites for this one, but they'll be even less of a chance to win that one as we'll get onto their opponent's performance in a bit.
I just see because you said Greenock Morton are a well-established championship club. I just did a little check there because I can never not remember them being in the championship since 2010. They have only not been in the championship for one season. They were in
Yeah,
League One in 2014 and 15, and they came straight back up. So since 2010, they've had every single season but one in the championship.
they might be the most championship club in the championship. Uh, maybe Ayr United. Dunfermline have obviously been in the championship quite a lot recently since they came down from the Premier League or the Premiership. Raith Rovers, I think, have been. Oh no, they were in League One, weren't they?
Yeah,
Not too long ago. They've been in the Championship quite a while now, mind you. But yeah, Great Morton Championship regulars, and yeah, really disappointing result for them, but excellent for Stenhousemuir, and that's what the Scottish Cup brings you. Upsets like that.
yeah, absolutely. Um, Obviously, Stranraer and Queen's Park was postponed, so we'll see the outcome of that game in the near future. Either one of them will be playing Rangers at Ibrox. So if Queen's Park,
Oh,
yes, we might see a repeat of last season's result that saw Philip Clement relieved of his duties at Ibrox. I would hate. I would
no, he wasn't relieved of his duties after that.
think he was. Was he
No, he
not?
kept his job after that. It was like a couple of games after.
I swear it was right after the
No,
Queen's Park game.
I'll check while we go into the other games, but I'm
Might have
pretty
been the
sure
night
it was a
game.
couple of games after.
Anyway, moving on to Sunday's games. If you think we've missed a couple of games, it's because we're leaving them because we think they're the most interesting ones. So we're leaving them to the very end. Aberdeen hosted Wraith Rovers, and they got a 1-0 win. A terrific finish from Jack Mill in the ninth minute. Oh, have you interesting fact about me, Ethan? I actually have scored with my backside before. Um, yeah, so me and Jack Milner in the same club. It was in my first ever game for 7 asides, EKYC. My mate hit a shot. I went to bend down to get out the way, skiffed off my bum, and then the keeper had went the wrong way and it went in. So I scored on my debut.
They all count. They all count. That's what they say.
They absolutely do. But yeah, Jack Milne sort of just getting involved in the stramash in front of the goal, and he knocks it in with sort of his back area, sort of lower back, you could say. And that was the only goal of the game. Notable things you could say, Lyle Cameron, we mentioned earlier, making his debut for Aberdeen. A lot of Dons fans are really not happy about that. That there's no option to buy. I think Aberdeen actually inquired about that. Rangers said no. Maybe Rangers think Lyle Cameron is still a player that's in their future. But yeah, a lot of Aberdeen fans really unhappy with that. That they believe they're just developing a player for, I guess, for their perceived rivals.
No, as the rivals, it's Aberdeen's biggest rivals, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know
Aberdeen's
Rangers
biggest
look.
rivals.
I know Rangers look at it as a kind of
A
little
joke.
brother kind of thing, but
No, I'm not trying to anger any Aberdeen fans. I'm only kidding you on.
what
I
did you say?
said a joke, but
No, but I understand the frustration for from Aberdeen fans because especially when you see the reaction to Bojan Miovski's move when he made the return to Pittodrie and some other players who have made that jump in the past. So yeah, I understand that. I completely understand it. And sometimes I feel the same when my team are getting loan players in with option to buy, and people are saying, "Oh, that's great business." Well, it's not really because although you're getting a player that can bring quality and benefit you in the short term, it's a long term thing, especially when it's a team in your league. It's not really benefiting anyone but the team you're loaning the player from. So yeah, he'll be a good player for Aberdeen. We know he's a good Scottish Premiership talent, as we've seen the last few seasons at Dundee, and hopefully he can carve a career out for himself at Rangers. Although Aberdeen fans will be hoping he doesn't, because then
I mean,
their development would have led to his success ultimately.
Lyle Cameron is it's just mad to me. I mean, in his last 3 seasons for Dundee, obviously one of them was in the Scottish Championship, but in the Championship he got 19 goals and assists in that season in all competitions. And then came up to the Premiership, only managed to bag 5 goals, 0 assists that season. Last season, he went supernova and got 25 goals and assists in all competitions. So hopefully he can just get a few games under his belt and find that form again because we have seen he's a quality player.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Agreed. But yeah, a massive win for Aberdeen. They really did need that because the performances recently have been weak, I think's the words I used, especially the ones against Rangers. And they needed a result because even how poor they were at the latter stages of last season, they made it to the Scottish Cup final. No one gave them a chance against Celtic, and look what happened. So, especially when the two big sides from Edinburgh have crashed out, there's an excellent opportunity for especially Premiership clubs to get to at least Hampden and then maybe a Scottish Cup final. And you never know what can happen in these finals as we've seen.
Yeah. We go from Pittodrie to Auchinleck Talbot, who were hosting Celtic at Rugby Park.
Kind of hosting Celtic.
Sorry?
Still kind of hosting Celtic, you could say.
Yeah, kind of, but
Yeah, they're still hosting Celtic.
they
Yeah,
technically were the home team. So yeah, Auchinleck Talbot hosted Celtic, and I, Celtic won 2-0, and this was one of the most boring games of football I've ever watched in my whole life. Celtic dominated the ball for the entirety of the game. Um, they got the first goal through Johnny Kenny, ball down the outside, played across by Luke McCowan. A deflection is taken. Kenny's quick to react. The keeper left clutching at air. Kenny in at the inner post. 1-0 to Celtic. Kenny did have a few opportunities in the game. He hit the bar, um, but I think Johnny Kenny, you can see he gets these opportunities, but he struggles to finish quite a lot of the time. So I think if you're going to get goals from him, it needs to be against lesser opposition where he has afforded the chance to miss a few, if you know what I'm saying. Um, and yeah, for the rest of the game, it was very much Celtic dominating. I mean, Auchinleck had a few breaks, but I don't really remember Sinisalo having a save to make the entire time. And then in the 85th minute, Sebastian Tunetke uh, with a terrific goal. We were speaking about Telo Asgards earlier. Don't care who the opposition is, who the keeper is. That's a cracking finish. I'd probably say the same for this one, Ethan. Terrific finish from Sebastian Tunetke, and Celtic come away with the 2-0 win, probably as expected.
Yeah, as expected. As you said, it was a boring game. One that I couldn't really keep my eye on because it just wasn't very entertaining. Celtic played pretty poorly, pedestrian football a lot of the time. They created a lot of chances as you would expect against a sixth tier opposition, and should have scored more goals than they did. But you need to take your chances. Johnny Kenny obviously took one as you said. Seems like the same old story with Johnny Kenny though. Could have probably had a hat trick. Had a really nice chip that was rolled offside, but he had some other great chances. And then, as you said, Sebastian Tenek, come on, he looked pretty sharp and got a really nice goal for himself. And that's what we've said. End product with him needs to be better, and it was. Obviously, you've got to consider the opponent. No disrespect talking like that, but I thought they were excellent as well. I know I said Celtic weren't great, but they were really good for a team that hasn't played in almost a month. Sixth division junior team. They kept going until the end, and to take Celtic into the 85th minute where it's still a contest is a remarkable achievement. I'm sure that's what the players will see it as. I think it was Ross Clark who got man of the match. He was excellent. The central defender, the captain, he was also really, really good. So, yeah, a proud moment for Auchinleck Tal, but a little bit embarrassing from Celtic, the fact that they could only score two. But then again, sometimes these things aren't as easy as they make out, especially when you make 10 changes. Although I will say, none of the 10 players who come in for Celtic will make a dent on Martin Neal's starting 11 for Thursday, I don't think.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. And a sneaky wee tactic by Celtic as well. If Stephen Welsh is to go back to Motherwell, he's now cup tied because he
Mm.
did he did play in that game. So yeah, very very interesting. But
And he also can only go back to Motherwell now because he's
yeah,
played for, yeah,
I
the
didn't
different
realize that
clubs in
was
a
a
season.
rule. I didn't realize that was a rule until today.
The only thing I remember it being before was Owen Beck. Obviously, because he was at Dundee and he was excellent for Dundee on loan from Liverpool, and then Liverpool recalled him. Or didn't recall him. I think his loan just ended in January, and he played in one of the EFL Cup games. Jurgen Klopp brought him on, and there was obviously rumours of him maybe going to Celtic, and then that ended any of that, and they loaned him back to Dundee for the remainder of the season. So I think if Celtic get cover in the central defensive areas, that'll probably be what happens with Stephen Welsh. Although Celtic
Is it you
bringing in
can?
players seems unlikely.
Why is it you can only play for two clubs in a season? Do you know the reasoning behind that?
No, I don't. I'm not sure why that is. I think it's just probably around trading players too often and stuff like that. I think it's the same for Michel Ange Balikwisha. He obviously did play. He started the game yesterday, didn't play excellently, missed a really good chance as well. But he was rumoured to be moving away because he took down all his Celtic social media posts after he was left out of the squad in back-to-back games. That he couldn't go to another European team because he'd already played for two this season, Royal Antwerp and then Celtic. So yeah, I'm not really sure why the rule is. I understand he kind of just play for loads of clubs in a season, but yeah. So I think maybe Stephen Welsh could go could go and play for Brendan Rodgers in Saudi Arabia, but I don't think he can play for another European club outside of Motherwell or Celtic this season.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll take it back to Saturday and we'll go over to East End Park where Dunfermline hosted Hibernian. Neil Lennon coming up against his old side, obviously a manager there, and he done them. A late Miguel Chaiwa own goal sealed the victory for Dunfermline, one of the biggest upsets of the weekend. And you could see the scenes at the end, Ethan, what it meant to these supporters. Absolutely crazy. And Hibs were the first Edinburgh team of the day to crash out the competition.
Yeah, and I think there was probably a few Hearts fans that were getting the stick in early. Obviously, losing to Dunfermline Championship opposition, although they've done pretty decent this season under Neil Lennon, they're just outside the playoff positions. It's a bigger upset than losing to a top six Falkirk side, but there still would have been Hearts fans giving it tight to the Hibs fans after the early kickoff, and it set up a really good day of the games. Wasn't an excellent game by any means. Didn't have almost any quality in the game. I didn't think from a Hibs point of view, especially. You look at the goal. We were talking about the Macclesfield goal against Crystal Palace the other week. It was one of the worst goals all time. This maybe not quite there, but it hits off Miguel Chaiwa the back of his arm and goes in. But Dunfermline won't care. Excellent scenes, excellent limbs at East End Park, and yeah, what a moment for Dunfermline. I've not seen that stadium too often, and yeah, really, it's a nice stadium for a championship club. Obviously, as I said, they were in the Premiership for quite a bit in the late noughties. So, yeah, but an excellent win for them. The only Hibs chance that I remember them, the really clear cut one, was Kieran Bowie right in the stroke half time. Was inside his own half, I think. Got played through one on one with the goalkeeper and just makes a mess of it and hits it straight off the Dunfermline keeper.
£0.5 million, by the way.
Yeah, That's why I think there's a big debate on whether he is ready to go to a Celtic or a Rangers, especially at that price, because you need to be taking those chances, and I think that's something that he's not been as clinical as maybe he could be this season.
Well, yeah, and especially when the talk around Tawanda Maswanisi is he could be available for like half of that. You know,
Yeah,
you pick Maswanisi, so uh, I think Kieran Bowie needs to be up in his numbers if he is to justify that price tag. But yeah, really, really good one for Dunfermline, and I always do love to see an upset. Just happy to see that for those supporters as well. Moving on, we go from East End Park to Tynecastle, where Hearts hosted Falkirk, and this is the second big upset of the day. The Premiership leaders are denied a chance of a double potentially as they crash out on penalties to Falkirk. Ben Parkinson opened the scoring in the 59th minute. Terrific play from Philip Lesser down the right
yeah,
hand side. I've seen him in the past couple of games, especially. Ethan was talking about him on Thursday. Thought he was very good against Celtic, and he's done it again. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but see when he's on the ball, there's just something about him that's like the way he moves is it's like aesthetically pleasing, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
Like
He looks like a cool customer on the ball. He never really looks phased on it. And yeah, for the age he is, 21, he plays very maturely. So yeah, I think he's been an excellent find uh, from Swansea City on loan, and I'm sure he'll be going on to big things. And I doubt there'll be any chance of Falkirk being able to keep a hold of him. Unfortunately, if he keeps playing like this, because he could probably make a run at that Swansea team, and with how good he's been playing at right back, especially at that young age. But the recruitment from Falkirk's been excellent, and I think a big result for like this has been coming for them. Obviously, we'll get on to the rest of the highlights in the game, but yeah, they were excellent and should have really got a result against Celtic. So I'm glad that it's fell John McGann's way this time.
yeah, yeah. Hearts did get their equaliser late on through Lawrence Shankland, a penalty. I thought this was a penalty. Chesnikov did very, very well. All the Kazakhstan fans would have been buzzing to see him on the pitch. I don't know if you've seen Ethan or if any of the viewers have seen. Um, every post is just flooded. Where is Islam? You put on the translation. Where is Islam? Show us Islam. Why is Islam not playing? So Chesnikov heavily involved in winning Hearts that penalty, and Lawrence
I think,
Shank puts it down the middle.
yeah, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, I think there's a big sort of, as you can hear a dog barking. And there's a big development of football in Kazakhstan. We've seen a lot of interaction on social media, especially. It was the same when Celtic played Kairat Almaty. They've obviously got a few young stars coming through. Dastan Satpayev, obviously, on his way to Chelsea in the summer, and Islam Chesnikov's got a big future ahead of him as well, if what we're hearing is correct. And he done well when he came on, and obviously won the penalty, which takes it to extra time, well converted by Lawrence Shanklin. But unfortunately, that wasn't the last highlight Shanklin was involved in of the evening.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
His injury.
All right. Oh yeah, he did get injured. I didn't see the injury in the
No,
highlights.
I
So
didn't see it either, but I think it's a hamstring, I believe.
yeah,
So that's not good.
very, very unfortunate for him, and hopefully it's not too bad. Because Hearts need him, but also, um, I think Scotland needs him to take him to the World Cup, even if just so he's there to play, even if it's a bit part role. He was so crucial in us getting there. I feel like his goal is perhaps lost among the other three, but they all count the
Yeah,
same, like we said earlier. And
they do.
he would be a big miss to for Scotland going to the World Cup. But yeah, Hearts did get that equaliser. There was another goalless extra time, and it went to penalties. And I loved this penalty shootout. The Hearts players giving it to the Falkirk supporters. Brian Graham answering back, giving it to the Hearts supporters with the shush. And who was it actually?
The mist.
Was it Kamangu?
Yeah, it was Ellen Cabangus, put it right.
Yeah, Ellen Kamangu. That is that is one of the worst penalties I've ever seen. How is he put it that wide of the goal? Honestly,
I don't know.
absolutely diabolical from Kamangu. And yeah, and Falkirk, every one of their penalties was pretty damn good. And they got that win 5-4 on penalties after Elton Cavanga sent it into the stratosphere. I don't know, was he trying to hit the corner flag or something? It was so bad.
Yeah, I don't know what he was trying to do there. And as you said, all the penalties were good, especially the Falkirk ones. Liam Henderson's was brilliant. I don't know if you've seen Scott Bain. Apparently threw or gave Alexander Swallows sort of notes of his penalty of the Falkirk penalty takers to the Falkirk fans behind the goal, so he couldn't read them anymore, which is quite funny. But yeah, the Falkirk penalties were excellent, and I think actually taking them in front of the Falkirk end in this scenario played into their hands. So yeah, massive win for Falkirk. But as we said, as I've said, we've seen Hearts crash out the first knockout round of the other cup. They obviously went out to the League Cup, the first round of the League Cup last season to Falkirk when they were in the Championship. Obviously, much different circumstances for Hearts, but I think they've got way bigger fish to fry, and that's what the Hearts fans will say. Obviously, they want a cup run, but if they were to trade no cup runs this season for a league title, I think you know what their answer would be. So yeah, especially with injuries to Lawrence Shankland and Cammy Devlin, which will be massive. I think Kabore's quite been a decent acquisition. We've not seen him play. I think he'll be a decent player. Elton Kabangu, probably very low in confidence at the minute. Magnuson's been playing. you got that goal in the first half, which Michael Stewart tried to argue was not a handball. Pretty much bounced off his hand a couple of times. I don't know what Michael Stewart was seeing there, but um, yeah, a massive win for Falkirk and thoroughly deserved. And I think they've been getting better as the seasons went on.
Yeah. And in terms of the games for the next round, the round of 16 draw was made after the game on Sunday, and here they are: Aberdeen versus Motherwell, Airdrie versus St Mirren, Dundee United versus Spartans, Dunfermline versus Kelty Hearts, Stenhousemuir versus Falkirk, the local derby as we mentioned earlier, Rangers versus Stranraer or Queen's Park, Celtic versus Dundee, and Elgin City versus Partick Thistle. So those are the fixtures for the round of 16 for those games. But yeah, that'll do it for our Scottish Cup sort of overview of the weekend. And I think now we're just going to move on to a little preview for the European games. Moving on to the European fixtures we've got coming up this Thursday, of course, the Conference League has concluded, but we've still got Europa League action to talk about. Celtic still with something to play for coming up on Thursday as they are still in contention for progression to the next round of the Europa League and top 24. They currently, they currently sit just within there on goal difference. They are in 24th and they host Bologna, who are great.
Go to Bologna.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Just give me a second. I was jumping all over me. They go to Bologna. Bologna are in 13th, 4 points ahead of them in the competition. A 5:45 kickoff for Celtic. So coming up against Bologna, they're not in great form. They're eighth in the Serie A currently, but they have only won one in their last five, losing their last game to Fiorentina, who are having a poor season themselves. They're just outside the relegation zone in the Serie A. Obviously, we all know about Celtic's form recently, so we're going to do a prediction for this game, and then we're going to quickly talk about Rangers and Ludogorets, and we're going to give a prediction for that one. So, Ethan, how are you? What's your feelings? What's your thinking going into the?
Uh, I don't think Bologna are as strong as they have been in recent Serie A seasons, as the league table and the recent form suggests. I think only one win in 90 minutes in the last nine games was the one against Hellas Verona. They beat Inter Milan in the Supercoppa semi-final before losing to Scott McTominay and co in the final. But they've been really solid in the Europa League, only a point outside of the top eight, so they'll still have aspirations for that. So it's going to be a difficult game. Celtic aren't usually successful away from home, although in their last trip in the Europa League, they obviously went to Rotterdam and picked up 3 points under Martin O'Neill. So I think Celtic have a chance, but I think Bologna will have too much for Celtic. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to the Italian side, and Celtic will have to get a result in their last game at home to Utrecht to have any chance of progressing to the playoff round.
I'm thinking similarly. I just think Bologna will have too much for Celtic at this current moment in time. I don't think I'm going to be as generous as you. I'm going to go with 2-0 to the Italians. I I just think they won't blow them away, but I just think it will be comfortable for Bologna. For me, Celtic don't have enough on either end at the moment, and if Kasper Schmeichel's in goal, chances are he'll probably throw it into his own net. The way his season's been going. No, but anyway, moving on to Rangers' game of the evening. Dead rubber for them, coming up against Ludogorets, who are in decent form in their in the Bulgarian league. And they're doing not too bad in the Europa either, if memory serves. I'm just going to
Yeah.
pull up the table again quickly. Yeah, they're just right above Celtic on on 7 points as well, just ahead of them on goal difference. And their European exploits have been varied. They had a 3-3 draw with PAOK in the last one. They did beat Celta Vigo 3-2. They lost 3-1 to Ferencváros, so of course Rangers lost 2 as well. So I think this game might be tighter than people are thinking. Obviously, I think even if you look back to the Ferencváros game, though, this Rangers side is far different, not in terms of personnel, but in terms of the way they're playing. But I don't think it'll be easy by any means. But I'm thinking, leaning towards a Rangers win here. I don't know if that's the bias in me.
No, I'm probably the same. I think it will be a difficult game. The ones in Europe are never easy, especially for the Scottish sides this season, with how poor, especially Celtic and Rangers are by their usual standards. And I think, although you said it, they're dead rubbers in the context of Rangers' progression in Europe, but I think the last 2 games are an opportunity for Danny Rowe and his Rangers team to show the progress they've made domestically, because obviously they hadn't got a victory so far in Europe. They got a point against Braga at Ibrox, but I think this is a perfect opportunity to get 3 points on the board and show that between the start of Danny Rowe's tenure and now there's been a progression. I think we can all see that, but a win in Europe would only further will justify that, and I think Rangers will win. I don't think it'll be convincing. I don't think it'll be easy. But I think Rangers will get a narrow victory. I'll go 1-0 the Rangers at Ibrox.
Okay. I was actually thinking the same, but to be a bit different, I'm going to go with 2-0 to Rangers. And I'm going to predict a scorer. I'm going to go with Manny Fernandes to get another goal with that big head of his. But that'll do it, I think, for tonight's episode of the Dugout podcast, the week's episode of the Dugout podcast. Thank you all for watching and listening. Make sure to like and subscribe, tell your friends. If you're listening on the Spotify, if you're watching on the YouTube, thank you very much. Make sure to check out the TikTok and the Twitter. A lot of January stuff going on. I've taken another wee break from the TikTok to focus on other things, but I'm going to get back on it soon enough because there has been quite a lot of movement. So yeah, thank you for all your support over the past few weeks, and goodbye.